used to love the piano, and I couldn't have one. I asked my dad, I told him I'd save my allowance and buy one. Couldn't have one. And after church, I would go downstairs and play the piano they had down there until my mother came and got me. It was time to go. I just thought the piano was so beautiful. Just touching it gave me so many ideas, emotional feelings that I wasn't really able to express at home. I couldn't talk to my father about anything. He either didn't understand it or he didn't have time to hear it. I think about him a lot now. He's in the hospital. He lives there in a retirement home, and he just lays in bed, and I go talk to him. I can tell him anything I want now, and sometimes he talks back to me on those days when he can speak and I can understand what he says. Sometimes when I say, "I love you, Dad," he says, "I love you too." He loves me too. My dad loves me. I wish I'd have known that all those years. Because we don't all show affection in the same way. My dad, he had a full-time job from midnight to 8 in the morning. Then he came home, and then he went to school at 9 all day long. Then he came home and slept. Talked with us a little bit. He didn't have time. He really didn't. He was trying to get us out of the ghetto. I didn't even know I lived in a ghetto until we moved to a slum. Children are very often content with whatever their circumstance is, if there's love in the house. And there was. My mother showed us a lot of love. Always listened to every silly thing we had to say, and then commented on it and encouraged us and tried to pick out what made sense in our ramblings and talk about that, and turned us all into philosophers. And my dad was very intelligent, and he would lecture us on Latin prefixes and suffixes at the dinner table. So we expanded our vocabulary quite a bit. And then we went into kindergarten. And, no, it was like this at our house. It was. We'd be at breakfast and he'd say, "Do you know what breakfast means?" And we'd think, "Yeah, it means we can eat now." And he said, "No, it's to break the fast. Because you fast when you sleep, you're not eating. That's called fasting when you don't eat." Like Jesus fasted for 40, and he talked to us about things in the Bible and also things in history, Greek and Roman literature. And my dad was a great dad. He still is. He just celebrated his 51st wedding anniversary, and we all went to the retirement home and spent hours with him and singing to him and talking to him. People used to come over from Europe and thinking that they were somehow arriving at my house because they saw an address in a LP. Remember what those are? These big black round things. They're not licorice, so don't try it. And they'd say, "Is Larry home? Like, can Larry come out and play?" You know. And my father said, "Well, Larry doesn't live here." But I saw the address on the record. Well, yeah, that's because he gets all of his mail here because he's traveling around so much. There's nobody to take his mail, so we get it. And where's Mother and Father? "So when's Larry coming home?" "Well, it might be a few months. How many days are you going to be here?" You know, and they'd say, "Well, 2 days, 3 days." And he'd either say to them, "How would you like to go to San Francisco right now?" And he'd call my mom, "Marge, you want to go to San Francisco?" And they'd take these people to San Francisco. But what was even cooler was sometimes if they had more than a day, he'd say, "Have you ever been to Yosemite?" And he would take them to Yosemite. He said, "Don't worry about a thing. I've got a tent for you. I've got all the clothes you need. I've got dry food. We're going to go hiking up in the hill." And he'd take them up Horse Ridge, you know, which is like 45-degree angles. You have to use switchbacks to get up there. I don't know how healthy they were before they came over to America. So I heard this story so many times. See, my dad never told me this. Here was my dad loving me, but never really telling me. This is one way he loved me. He showed respect for my friends, people I didn't know maybe, too. But he'd take me to, and I'd find out from these people, "Hi Larry, I'm so glad you're coming now to Germany. You know, we had one time visited you in their home, but you wasn't living there, and your father took us to Yosemite." Man, that's cool. Wish my father was like that.